Welcome to AWAKEN Podcast. My name is Olga Sytnyk. I'm the founder of CEO of AWAKEN, a network state of natural capital. In this podcast, we are rethinking the ownership of the nature. We are talking about the regenerative finance and searching for the new models for the natural capital market. Also, we are challenging the old system that brought our planet to the edge. Today, we will talk about quite interesting topic: who will own the future? Today, we will talk about the new emerging class that we in AWAKEN are naming natural capitalists. I think it will be quite interesting for you, so let's start. So let's take a small recap of the last podcast. In the last podcast, we were talking that for the centuries, the nature was controlled by conquer. The old empires were dividing the world by the means of map and military force. But the domination was not just political, it was also psychological. Because nature was not just treated as something that they own, but also something that they dominate. And the nature was taken just as a resource to extract, to destroy, and to convert into money and goods. Even today, 70% of the natural resources remain in the ownership of the state, in private hands, not that much, but still, and only 30% belongs to indigenous communities. In AWAKEN, we want to change this. In AWAKEN, we envision the new form of how we can possess, I wouldn't use the word all the nature, which is called the GreenHold. So in the GreenHold, we clearly see that the ownership has to be divided from the right to decide. This is how we develop the GreenHold, a long-term contract that allows to take the decisions what will happen to the nature or the natural resource without changing its formal owner. Owning the GreenHold basically means that you can influence and impact the world and stop the climate change not by the means of donation, not by the means of protest, but becoming the co-owner or co-holder of the natural resource. This is exactly what means the natural capitalist. The natural capitalist is the person who is creating and participating in the regenerative finance system. And this is very big shift if you think about this, because honestly, if you want, and I think who is listening to this podcast, those are the people who really want to preserve our planet, but what tools we really have? If you want to do something, what do? You open the app and donate for planting some tree, or maybe you donate to some NGO who is supporting the wildlife animals, or is combating the forest fires. Or maybe if you are too active, you go to the rally to show your protest against the system that is actually destroying the nature. Well, someone more extreme, like me, for example, is putting their bodies to stop the trucks from the smuggling of the illegal cut wood. But that's it. But does it really influence? Is it really this instrument that we want to have if we want to preserve our planet? I think the answer is obvious. So the GreenHold gives you the actual right to decide what will happen as the co-holder of the natural asset, together with the state, with the indigenous communities or communities who live nearby. So the natural capitalist is someone who is seeing the nature not as the source to consume, but as the living system to partner with. But no partnership is good without the income. Again, it's not the donation. So the whole system of the GreenHold is envisioning that the natural capitalist will receive the regenerative income from this land in the long-term perspective. And this is not the utopia. In the next podcast, if you're interested, we will go in deep in details with the numbers, how the natural capital market system is working and where the income is coming from and why it will be possible to have more profitable, save the nature, preserve it, than just to consume it for extraction. So if you're interested in this, please follow me and listen to my next podcasts. We will cover this topic in the next ones, going in depth in the market and numbers. But let's go back to the natural capitalists. So imagine that you open your electronic wallet. In your electronic wallet, you see that you own as the co-holder. Let's shift from the term ownership of the nature. Let's talk about co-holding and co-governance of the natural resources. I like it more in this way. So imagine that you open your electronic wallet on your phone, and you are seeing that you are the co-holder of the 1,000 hectares of the Amazon rainforest, and you just receive your first payout because the system is regenerating. And also you can co-own the Australian coral reef, for example, or the Palawan reefs. So in this way, can you imagine that the holding of the nature is not just changing the perception of ownership, but it also makes it borderless. Because until today, trust me, and I think you know if you at least tried, it's very complicated, bureaucratic, long-term, almost inaccessible if you, for example, want to purchase some land in the Amazon rainforest. It's possible because I did it myself, but you have to come here, you have to, not to be cheated, you have to go through all the bureaucracy, and this is very time-consuming process that probably very few people will afford to do. So the GreenHolds allow you in one click to become the co-holders of these natural resources that you admire and then you want to preserve and then you want to receive the stable regenerative income from. So this is totally changes the perception of the ownership itself. It makes it borderless. So this is one more thing that is important about the natural capitalist, because this is the borderless community of the people who are not limited anymore by the country borders and can co-hold the nature in any part of the world. The next thing which is changing with the natural capitalist is how we make the decisions. For today, if you own the natural resource, obviously there is some country limitations, legislations, but you can always kind of avoid them or do this in some other way. So basically, if to make it short, if you're the owner of the natural resource, you totally decide what to do with this, to destroy it, to extract it, or to conserve it. It's up to you as the owner. In the AWAKEN ecosystem, as the GreenHold co-owner, you are not the owner. You're the co-owner or co-holder of the natural resource. Because in the way that the GreenHold is working is through the tokenization. So you cannot own some specific landlord. You have like the shares in some natural asset. So you have for example, national park or the conservation area in the Amazon rainforest, and you own kind of the shares in this conservation area. So we here implement the mechanisms of co-governance, where you can make the decisions what projects sustainable. This is the total limit. So GreenHolds are only working in sustainable and regenerative way, but you can decide with the other co-holders in the system of co-governance, what is to be done in this natural resource and how it can be developed. And this is also the big shift. In AWAKEN, we envision that this will be made on the DAO, decentralized autonomous organization, basically by the blockchain. If you look in the ancient times, it's something very similar to the direct democracy, where everyone could make the decision and take the votes. But before this, it was the utopia. But now, with the development of the blockchain technologies, internet, it's quite possible and has the long-established practice. But we will go a little bit more further. In AWAKEN, we envision that this co-governance will be made not only through DAO, but it will be made in the metaverse, ecosystem, where imagine that you need to take some decision about the holds or shares of the Amazon rainforest that you co-own, and you go to the virtual meeting in the AWAKEN metaverse, and your avatar is sitting next to the avatar of the indigenous representative, and it sits next to the avatar of the professor of the University of the Amazon Science, and you're mutually deciding what projects you will develop. Obviously, you don't have the obligation to make decisions by yourself, because in the DAO, it's very easy to build the delegation system, but in the final point, you are the one who is eligible to take decisions. So the ecosystem that we envision in AWAKEN, which we call the GreenHolds, not only allows you to be the co-holder of the natural assets and derive the regenerative income from it, it also makes your ownership borderless. It also makes your ownership very quick, made by online, basically just in one click in your phone. You can become the co-owner of the piece of, for example, the beautiful Amazon rainforest, but it also gives you right to decide. It gives you right to really partner with the other people and with the nature and become it really partner and guardian, as we were talking in the previous podcast. So let's go back to the question, who will own the future? And in our perception, awakened perception, it's not the billionaire philanthropist who just buy the piece of the rainforest, for example, or the river and locks it up and conserves. No. This is the new class of people we call the natural capitalists, who, using the tokenization, the ecological data, the long-term contracts, are generating income not from speculation but from the regenerative finances. And those people, to our mind, really form the new economical class of the future, the natural capital holders, and not just the economical class. They form the very powerful community of people aligned by the common values, which gives also the opportunity to develop a lot of different other instruments that we will talk also in this podcast. So if you're interested how this system will be developed and how we envision the development of the natural capital system, please stay in touch. Awaken now is deploying the first pilot project of how to construct the natural capital model, which we are doing here in the Amazon rainforest in Peru. So if you're interested, also please go to our webpage and get more information. Currently, we are looking for the first investment round to make it possible and to make the system working. So I am very grateful for you to have the interest in listening for this podcast. Please subscribe, and in the next ones we will be going in depth about the natural capital market system, and we will really see deeply how this system can be implemented technically and how it can work. Thank you.